This is how to ride slippy terrain. So the first thing you can think about is bike setup and actually really just tyres. So a good mud tyre is definitely going to dig into soft terrain like this. You can see these tyres are already starting to fill up. So an aggressive tyre tread that's quite well spaced is going to clear the mud out of it, but also dig into the trail. Also, I'd probably think about dropping my tyre pressures a couple of PSI because there's much less risk of you rolling the tyre off. The speeds are much lower and you're just going to find a bit more grip with lower pressures. In wet, muddy conditions like we've got at the moment in the UK, I would always say try and start off the ride and try and be a little bit cautious. So you're not testing your levels of grip straight away. Just warm up, get into the ride before you really start thinking about pushing it. I also like to do little skids by the side of the trail. Try not to damage the trails, but it just gives me a little feel for how much grip I've got that day before I start pushing on too fast. One cornering technique that I really think about in slippery conditions is trying to lean the bike over and keep my weight to the outside of the bike. That means my hips really, and that keeps them over the wheels. So if I do slide around, there's much more chance of me being able to save that slide by picking the bike back up. Whereas if I'm in line with the bike and cornering hard, like I probably would in hard packed dry conditions, if the bike slides away from me, my weight's going to end up on the inside and I'm probably going to crash. It also helps me really play with the line. So if I can see a slippy patch in front of me, I might actually pick the bike back up a little bit. So I'm not asking too much of those tyres, get through that bit and then lean the bike over again to get cornering again. In really slippery corners, I'm going to try and be as smooth as possible. So you can see this corner here, it's actually quite hard packed this bit. So I've come out of the mud, it's kind of dry-ish, but not muddy at all. And it's got all these autumnal leaves on top. They're going to move around a lot and so am I. So smooth with my brakes, so coming off them as much as possible and not grabbing on them. And also smooth with my line rather than doing sort of, you know, big square bits. I'm trying to make it one really nice flowy corner. And hopefully that smoothness is going to mean my tyres are going to grip and it's going to be much more predictable. So this section, I've got an off-camber turn right in front of a tree. It's really slippery here and then I'm going right and I'm almost certainly going to slide here. So I've got to try and predict that. I'm trying to keep my weight to the outside foot so I'll catch that drift hopefully. I've got to be ready to come off the brakes because if I stay on the brakes when I start sliding, especially the front one, I'm almost certainly going to crash. I'm riding clipless pedals today, so I've got to think about that because I might need to dab here, which means getting my inside foot off nice and quick. If you're new to clipless pedals, you might actually find that it's safer to ride down here with your foot already unclipped, ready to dab. Flat pedals, it's much quicker to dab if you need to. On slippy corners with a couple of lines, I will always choose the berm rather than try and go inside on the slippy stuff. In slippy conditions, you're going to have to get used to the bike moving around and drifting. So really think about trying to get your centre of gravity as low as possible, so down to the bike, but also dropping your outside foot. And when you really get used to the bike moving around, your confidence levels will really improve. I also think about dropping my chest towards the bars a little bit, just to keep a little bit more weight on that front tyre to hopefully give a bit more grip to that front tyre so I stay upright. Whoa! So there's some tips on how to ride slippy trails and it's loads of fun when you get used to it. Click on the GMBN logo back here to subscribe to the channel. Click over there for the ultimate guide to cornering and click down there for tyre tread pattern explained. Give us a thumbs up if you found this video useful.